Hello and welcome back to the studio after a really solid performance by Kolbas inside, knocking out Dyslexidus, VB May. Sad to see them go, but
they're not knocked out. They're down to the losers bracket.
Down to the losers bracket. That was what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone at home. They're not down. They're gonna go and terrorize people in the losers bracket instead. A really good team there.
Weird stuff. I more and more just think that was a really bad choice. I mean,
yeah. Let's just look at the comps a little bit up here on the TV. Get the stats up on the screen. So
up top is basically just 3 Vindicators, which is a whole lot of damage, quite a bit of VHP, but
like there's stuff that if you like, there's stuff that just can't handle 3 Vindicators.
Not much though. Like at this stage of the tournament, what is there that Kolbas brings that just can't handle 3 Vindicators? Like maybe Dominic's is, but I'm not actually sure about that. And outside of that, everything else is more flexible, faster. Even something like Slipner's or whatever would probably be able to just kite this match around and over time win it by being more dynamic. I mean, I think
what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Like, T1 frigates just stay next to the Vindicators. If any Slipner comes in to try and kill a T1 frigate, they get caught by a 90% Vindicator web and are instantly evaporated by 3 Vindicators.
Look at the stats though. I mean, they only managed to deal 77,000 damage.
Yeah, because they didn't actually get on top of anything. They played against. So this is the kind of team that cannot play against the Kitey team. And that's exactly what Kolbas Inside brought.
Well, to be fair, though, a Typhoon got caught very early. I actually kind of looked like a Typhoon went in early to me.
It looked to me like a Typhoon got webbed by its support, but
yeah,
that Typhoon got webbed so fast.
We can get confirmation on that when we look up the match in our little replayer. Maybe we'll do that.
So, like, another thing about the setup, I feel like something good teams tend, like we see from good teams as we move forward in tournaments for the last couple tournaments anyway, is that they move towards setups that are more flexible, that you can at least with good piloting have a chance against anything. There's a lot less of this like direct hard counter that's very all in and loses to some things just based on setup. I feel like that's like good teams stop doing that. They start sticking with Slipner, sticking with Fleet Foons or with Ishtars or whatever.
It's boring though. I want to see 3 Vindicators roll up and murder something.
It's cool right until it just gets blown up like without doing anything, and then it's not very cool. I don't know. I'd love to hear the reasoning. I'm sure there was a reason that they thought this was the smartest choice. I'm just curious what that actually was.
All right, but it's going to be Kolbas versus Weehurt, so no.
Interesting.
No partner match. Hun Reloaded is going to unload on the streamer. Unload on the high train.
This is another. They're
going to have to change their name to Hun Derailed. They're derailed.
They're dealing. They're now. Like Weehurt are now dealing with another seasoned veteran tournament team that has showed top performances in the past. And they've so far went up against 2 of those, and then a really solid tournament team, the Incursion Shining Network. And then Hun have also been really, really convincing in all of their matches up until this point. So like for me, this is a super, super exciting match. And then on the other side, we're going to have the winners of Warlords of the Deep, semicolon drop table users, and the winners of Thingy versus Rampage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a really close match as well.
Well, the thing that's important to know about Kolbas Inside, the Frigates, formerly of Hun was always sort of like the black box tournament team where like people sort of knew what they were doing, but it's all in Hungarian or Eastern European languages, and they always come out with some wacky setup or like just completely mess with people over and over and over again. We saw that with their Vargo setup from Alliance Tournament 10?
Yes.
10? Like, and even within that setup that looked almost identical every match, they would vary the fits to counter what people thought people developed what they thought was a counter to Vargos.
Didn't they bring like ECCM and then like no ECCM? And,
they brought like tracking disruptors and all sorts of stuff to just like pull these tricky counters that would really catch people off guard. If there's any team that constantly has a leg up on people, it's always been sort of Hun Reloaded.
That is true. They have shown tremendous tournament performances in the past, so that's definitely going to be an exciting one to watch out for. I'm actually going to go check out who the Kolbas, who Dyslexidus are going to be facing in the losers bracket. Do we know that?
We can figure that out.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up.
If only we had a team of people backstage that could tell us things like that.
I got it.
Instead of you just fiddling around on your iPad while we wait for you to figure out who's playing in the losers bracket.
I mean, one thing is safe to say about the losers bracket, it's getting really tough already.
Yeah.
So, Dyslexidus is going to fight the winner of Gerodian and the Reputation Cartel in the loser bracket.
So that's Rep Cartel, right?
No. They haven't.
No,
they haven't
they
fought
haven't
yet.
fought yet.
Oh, I see. I
Yes.
see.
So it's the next round. While
Bold statement, not believing in Terodian.
Incursion Shannon Network are gonna face
After-
the winners of Providence Wizards and Last Azah.
I'm sorry, but yeah, after the Derodian match today, I just have both of those teams as out of the tournament in my head because of how silly that match was.
But
I guess we'll see, though.
If we jump a little bit to the bands maybe for the next match, focus on that one.
Next match, which is Thingy, the Turn Left team, versus Rampage, which is the Volta team.
Yes.
Yep.
I actually don't have them here right now.
Nice.
Strange
So,
choice to switch to
Let's
them.
transition to the bands that we don't have.
So here we are. There we are. Match 43. Thingy has banned the Ishtar and the Dominics, and Rampage has banned the Sleipnir and the Oneros.
So classic bands, we've been seeing these all day.
Yeah.
The Sleipnir Oneros bands tend to hit a lot of things. I still am saying that the Oneros band is becoming less and less effective.
Yes.
Like the power of double logic frigates is so great. So many less points. You can do a lot with everything else. And there's just so many advantages in a tournament meta where sniping out logistics is so important.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think you're right. A lot of setups are starting to move to the frigates, and it makes sense. It's interesting how those bands do, at least to me for now, they're starting to feel like just discomfort bands. Like they have an idea of something they can run that doesn't need any of those 4 ships, which are all like the best 4 ships in a way.
Yeah.
And so just by banning those, you have the best shot of messing with what your opponents were hoping to do, and that's just good
so you
because
just
it
go
means
for
that
a
they're uncomfortable.
broad spectrum pick.
Yeah, you try to kind of hit as many good setups
Yeah.
as you think possible that don't affect you, because then your opponents hopefully end up uncomfortable and have to do something they don't like, and I don't know. But a lot of people have been adjusting really well. I mean, we've seen people adjust away from the Oneros ban with the Guardian pretty easily.
Do you think we should move to 3 bands for the next tournament?
I don't know. He mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's definitely something that we want to consider possibly.
One of the things we're always running into with the tournament format is that there's options that are great from a viewer sort of perspective, but we're also always trying to maintain the fun of playing in the tournament. And one thing that happens as you expand the number of bands is it means that, like for instance, for discomfort bands, your range is even wider, which means everyone has to have even more setups available
on standby
and
and so on.
and start to stress people out. And maybe if it was one match a weekend or something, that might be reasonable to expect. But we start getting into the series at the end of the tournament, and it becomes kind of crazy.
That is true.
For people who don't know, people who maybe haven't watched the tournament before, this tournament actually occurs on Tranquility. So all of the ships that everyone loses are ships that have real value or completely gone.
Yeah.
That's real losses that the teams experience. And a lot of this, there's a lot of logistics behind having a team. So you have to have multiple setups prepared, ready to go, because there's limited time for you to pick what you're flying and get everybody set up before.
In this stage, you only have an hour or something from when the bands are put in to when you actually have to fight your match, so you need that amount of time to make sure that the ships are prepared and in the right hands. And on top of that, if you're going to practice for a tournament and you're going to have a wide range of setups you're going to have prepared, it's not only about buying them on TQ and having them ready for people, it's also about practicing in that range.
It's also about having enough pilots that have enough skill points to fly that.
Basically,
variety.
the more we force people to diversify, the tougher it gets for them to actually play.
If we increase kind of the viewer experience of having bands, we also multiply the difficulty of participating in the tournament, which isn't necessarily something that is good. Maybe 3 bands belong in the Alliance tournament, but only 2 bands belong in the New Eden Open. Like, these are things that we can definitely discuss, and we'll
But also, I think we're in a really good spot in this format, actually.
Yes.
Like, there's a really nice range of setups.
Do you know what upsets me?
What?
Nobody's bought a bomb run.
There was one bomb. We've seen plenty of just one token bomber.
Yeah, 1 token bomber, but none of them have dropped bombs.
Yeah. Well, bombs are actually not that useful.
So
They're so cool.
They are cool.
Before we go into the next match, I'm going to read a couple of tweets over here from the NEO2 hashtag.
Great. Good luck.
Before we get to that, you should buff bombers, though. I'm just saying.
So Bam Stroker says, it's 6 a.m. I'm eating cold pizza and watching NEO2. Pretty much best Saturday ever. I couldn't agree with him more. That sounds like an awesome combo.
I actually some pizzerias, I prefer their cold pizza to their regular pizza.
Yes.
Wow, that's even more interesting than the story about my grandpa.
Then Brent at Apathetic Brent says, pre-match jitters starting to hit. Excited for today's match. Hashtag NEO2. And he's not fighting until the last match.
Yep.
So you can see how nervous people are kind of long before the match.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something we often hear about when you think about how much effort, we were talking about the spying earlier, or the preparation and setting up the logistics for the tournament. People invest so much that it's an enormous amount of pressure, and people definitely get.
Well, it's also a tournament format where a single mistake from any one pilot on your team can just have everything collapse in front of you.
That's definitely true. One more that I'm going to read here. EveBet tweets, I think We Heard just made some new friends. On that note, 2 trillion ISK in winnings handed out so far. So
nice.
2 trillion ISK that has been won by people betting on the New Eden Open. It's pretty obvious that there is a lot of ISKs floating around there.
Yep, I've
looking for an owner.
I've made quite a few already.
You're not allowed to. So Gordon Fredrickson tweets, so torn between the hashtag NEO2 and League of Legends /LCS. Mate, you don't even have to think about that one. Obviously, the Neo. It's a pretty clear winner there.
We have 3 commentators here, and they're all more handsome than anyone involved in that other show.
Especially Shocks.
That's not a U. It's an A.
Ah, yeah.
Exactly.
No worries then today.
No, nobody's more handsome than I'm a cutie pie, though.
That is true.
Less handsome.
So Suleiman Shua, I'm guessing I'm saying that terribly.
Shua?
I think that's probably perfect. What did they say?
He's a member of
Rep Cartel.
Or Rep Cartel.
Rep Cartel.
Yeah.
He said, good fight, smoking is bad. CCP bro, we have our eyes on you. Plus Rep Cartel. So I apparently offended them in some way, but I'm currently making up for it. And now they're just kind of evaluating my performance over the next few days before they decide to downvote me into oblivion or give me a bunch of plus rep.
Hey, before we go back,
they don't downvote you; they neg rep you.
Neg rep you. Wow, sorry.
Whoa. Okay, you're screwed now. You're doomed.
Sorry.
Hey, CCP bro, before we go to this match, I see the ship's on the field, so it must be soon. Can you tell? The bands again.
There were some problems.
It was okay. It was Dominic's Ishtar, Slipner, and Eros, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me just
wanted
confirm that for you.
Sounds right to me.
It was indeed Dominic's Ishtar, Sleipnir, and Eros. Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, these teams. I mean, we were talking about how that affects teams, and one of them has gone with a Guardian, and one of them's gone with 2 Inquisitors. So,
I never like a Guardian.
Which do you like? Which do you prefer, single logistics or 2 logistics frigates in this format?
It's tough. I think that we've seen the benefits of both. We had a match earlier where there was a lot. Which match was it? There was one that added a Guardian, and it just had more raw rep power. They won that match, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But then we've also seen matches where the 2 Inquisitors do really well because they're actually harder to kill than the cruiser logistics, like the Oneros and the Ishtar on Ishtar match. So
I actually like the cruiser logistics for more skilled pilots. So if you're just basing it on which is more powerful in terms of rep, the 2, which is more powerful in terms of the utility and ability to keep things alive, I really like the cruiser. It requires a much more skilled pilot. You have to really, really not get sniped out at the beginning by some high tracking sentry setup, not get caught. But if you do survive, you have a much more ability to swing the match. Whereas when you bring the double frigate support, you're relying on the extra points you've made somewhere else to bring power that wins you the match. And they're just sort of an accessory to your success in the match.
That is true. So apparently there is an issue with one of the ships, which means we're going to be a couple of minutes delayed here.
Yeah, from what it says in local, there's some issue related to cargo capacity. Of course, there's for these matches, we kind of explained earlier, this does happen on Tranquility. It's using real assets that the pilots prepare. It's not happening in a normal system that they travel to. They're actually brought to a system in Jove space where we can kind of referee the tournament in safety, and sometimes there's some issues with getting all that set up.
Yes.
But rarely, actually, it's gotten smoother and smoother.
It has.
And we hardly ever have delays anymore, which is really nice. It used to be all done by hand with only normal GM / commands, and there was all kinds of problems. People would accidentally move their ship and we'd have to blow them up. And
so
now CCP Veritas has done some amazing things and made this cool tool that we're using that has sped up the process of prepping a match by a whole lot. I remember when I started working here just recently after I started, I got the opportunity of being involved in one of the Alliance tournaments, the first Alliance tournament when I was here. It was Alliance Tournament 9. And that
one had a really good ending.
I was actually a part of that tournament, and all of these guys were commentators, but I didn't talk to them because they were such celebrities to me at that point.
Were you here for 9? I don't remember you at all.
See, that's exactly the thing. You and your Hollywood antics, just brushing me off.
No, I was probably just drunk.
But no. So I was in another building. I was doing GM work.
Oh,
so I never actually properly met you guys.
And
So
before you make a really bad joke, or are you going to make a
No,
really
no,
bad joke?
I was going to talk about the really cool way we used to do the tournament. Now we have wires and stuff, but we used to transmit across to another building across the street with a laser, which is awesome.
Yeah, we did that. We did that with 10. We didn't do that with 9.
Yeah. No, we had the laser for 9. I'm sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but in any case, I remember for that tournament, we had 4 GMs constantly working on just preparing the teams, moving the teams, making sure everything was legit and so on.
Yeah.
Nobody was breaking the rules, and it was all done manually.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 2.
Which is still, I was going to say, there's still, of course, quite a few people
But
backstage making things happen. Veritas has made things a lot better. I think one of the bigger things you've done, rather than make it easier for us, is actually make it easier for the players, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
They have a much smoother experience.
Not to mention making
participating
it easier.
in the tournament. But yeah, last time I said something about the people in the back, it was mean. But today I wanted to say that we depend on a lot of awesome people in the back doing good work.
Not to mention making it also way easier for us to commentate with the new UI. I could never go back to the old UI.
That's
where
true.
it
That
just
was difficult.
locks.
Anyway,
And
thank
the
goodness
next
we have
time,
red lights.
The next time we have a minute, let's actually just go over the UI so some people at
That's
home
a good idea.
might
All right.
understand what's happening. But right now, we're ready to go into the match, and I shall need your predictions.
Who's in this match? No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Just
going to go
you
with. I'm actually going to go with Thingy.
I'm going with Thingy as well.
Ooh. I'm going to disagree with the both of them and go with Team Rampage on this one.